How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Guardians and Gamers, and today it looks like Microsoft has made a claim in that Sony pays for blocking rights to keep games off of Xbox Game Pass. Whew, wow. I gotta say, one case after another. Of course, I love competition, but I gotta say, Sony, if this is true, I gotta say that's kind of a, pickle station move you got there. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into this, shall we? So it starts off saying that Microsoft has claimed Sony pays for blocking rights to stop developers from adding their content to Xbox Game Pass, and the explicit claims are part of the document's Word doc filled in Brazil's national competition regulator and part of the review of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So Microsoft's ability to continue expanding the Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Claims Microsoft is an August 9th filing for an Administration Council for Economic Defense and translated from Portuguese. As Sony says, for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. So does this mean that Sony is evil and Microsoft is casually out there revealing some dastardly business practices? The reality is likely that a little more complicated on both sides, and Sony could simply be paying for exclusive rights for its own streaming services, or maybe clauses is in some publishing contract that prevents some games it publishes from being published on rival subscription services. So it's not clear exactly what Microsoft is referring to here, but contracts for publishing games tend to be complex, particularly when rights for streaming and subscription services are involved. So documents filed in Epic Games v. Apple trial last year revealed that Microsoft had been considering lowering the revenue split for PC games, in quotes, in exchange for the grant of streaming the rights to Microsoft. If Microsoft had proceeded with the plans, that could have led to the company securing exclusive streaming rights on some games, preventing them from being available on rival streaming services. And it all depends on how publishing contracts are written, and both Microsoft and Sony regularly secure game exclusives that involve time releases, console exclusivity, and lots of marketing dollars. Microsoft is attempting to convince Brazil's CADE regulator that it should wade through the company's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard in $68.7 billion. And while the Federal Trade Commission, FTC of course, is analyzing documents for Microsoft on its acquisition in the US, that correspondence is private, and that's not been the case in Brazil, where its competition regulator offers up public documents that provide unique insights into the business competition between Microsoft and Sony. So documents for Brazil CADE have been analyzed by Xbox and PlayStation fans over the past week, with posters on Reset Era highlighting the juicy parts. The regulator has been asking for Sony and other Microsoft rivals about the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and Sony previously responded to Brazil's regulator claim that it would be difficult for other developers to create a franchise that rivals Activision's Call of Duty, and that it stands out as, in quotes, as a gaming category on its own. So naturally, Microsoft disagrees, and Ubisoft, Riot Games, Bandai Namco, and Google have all highlighted competitions to Call of Duty in the form of Apex Legends, Battlefield, PUBG, and more. And also Halo, of course. So Microsoft also claims that adding Activision Blizzard contents to Xbox Game Pass will actually increase the competition somehow, and the inclusion of Activision Blizzard content in Game Pass does not impair the ability of other players to compete in the digital game distribution market. It claims that Microsoft is one document, and claims Microsoft in one document where the company also argues it increases the competition thanks to, in quotes, high quality content at lower immediate costs. And Sony has not responded to this particular point yet, but at $9.99 per month for Xbox Game Pass, it is easy to imagine consumers picking that option to play titles like Call of Duty instead of paying $60 or more to purchase or to own the game. So Microsoft also argues that not distributing games like Call of Duty rival console stores would simply not be profitable for the company, and Microsoft has previously made it clear that it will keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Microsoft says that strategy of not distributing Activision Blizzard games on rival consoles would only be profitable if the games could attract a high number of players over the Xbox ecosystem, resulting in revenue to compensate for losses is from not selling these titles on rival consoles. And whether Microsoft claims about blocking rights are accurate, it would not be the first time Sony has used financial incentives to block game developers. Sony held back PS4 cross-platform play for years and implemented a cross-play revenue share for publishers that wanted to enable cross-play in their games. And Sony's cross-platform revenue shared focused publishers to play Sony a royalty pay Sony a royalty, I said play. So whenever PlayStation players contributed more than a certain percentage to the bottom line of a cross-platform game to, in quotes, offset the reduction in revenue from Sony enabling crossplay, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney testified last year that Sony was the only platform holder that required this compensation for crossplay. So therefore, we have reached out to Sony to comment on Microsoft's claims and to Microsoft to clarify what Sony allegedly blocks. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. So moving on, we have not heard or back from either company yet, and we do not expect either will comment on these explicit details, but we will be watching the documents from Brazil's CADE carefully in the coming days to see if how Sony responds to Microsoft's claims. And so yeah, I gotta say, this is actually a little bit unexpected. Like, although I'm all for a good competition right here, but kind of like a little pulling moves like that, this is like, not cool. And of course, Sony is always like, done with, this is like nothing new for Sony, because I know since I remember way back in the late PlayStation 3 and early PS4 days, correct me if I'm wrong, I know they're always known for doing their time exclusive stuff, especially for games like Destiny, which is obviously like, a little bit of a lackluster game. And of course, even though I do like covering news on this channel a lot, but hey, I like to get some news, get some game news out there, because that's kind of like my job, to keep you guys informed. But although Microsoft's also done something like this before as well, like back in last generation where they made, I think, Rise of the Tomb Raider a time exclusive. So therefore, both sides are not fully innocent and perfect. But although if this is actually true, I don't know. But hey, definitely stick around and subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more news about it as this kind of develops. And once this story actually does develop, and once we get some concrete evidence, and it's according to Microsoft, then I will cover news on this on this channel in my future videos. And so yeah, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you found it to be helpful and informative, then be sure to drop a like as always, because it does help the channel out a lot. And like I said before, go ahead and subscribe for more content like this, and want to be up to speed on on recent news on whenever the story actually develops in the future. And then got your thoughts, your opinions is on this recent claim by Microsoft, then go ahead and sign on in the comment section below and get a discussion going. And again, thank you so much for checking out this video, and we'll catch you all in the next one.